All right. I believe Zoom is preparing the live stream. We might be live right now, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a moment to get everything ready. But if you are tuning in on the YouTube live channel, this is the Actualize Capstone presentations. Okay. So we are live with the Actualize Capstone presentations. This is the evening cohort. My name is Peter Jang. I am a Chicago lead instructor for Actualize, as well as the Dean of Instruction. And I normally teach the live in-person classes in Chicago's during the evenings. But however, due to COVID, we have taken all of our courses on the online format. So this current cohort that you're looking at just recently graduated and have finished their final capstone projects. And we have a mix of people from Chicago as well as across the United States in this particular cohort. Everybody here worked super hard for the past 12 weeks, learning all of the skills of a full stack web developer with Ruby on Rails, Postgres, backend kind of logic, as well as front end with JavaScript frameworks like Vue.js. And so, yeah, I'm really proud of everybody's hard work. They've been working for the last 2 weeks on these projects full time. And I'm excited to see their final results. I have a good sense of where everybody's at, but I haven't seen everybody's final presentations. So it's going to be a good time. Yeah, and I would just want to say, to all the students who are graduating, an extra round of congratulations, because this is obviously a very difficult time to be doing anything, let alone a coding bootcamp, which is a stressful experience. Put a global pandemic on top of that, certainly is not easy. So kudos to everybody for really hammering that through and doing an amazing job. Before we get started, I would like to introduce our two panelists who are with us. So the first panelist we have is Jay Wengrow. So Jay, if you want to do a brief introduction for yourself.
Yeah, and I apologize for the annoying background phone that I have going on here. My 10-year-old daughter changed the ringer to the most amazing ringer we have. I want to say congratulations to all of the graduates here. I'm really excited to see the capstone presentations. Echoing what Peter said, the grads here put in so much work, and like with COVID and everything on top of it, really goes to show how dedicated and ambitious the grads are. So I'm really excited to see all the presentations. Also want to just give a thanks to Peter, the lead instructor for this cohort, and as well as the dean for everything he does at Actualize, as well as leading this particular cohort. Want to thank the TAs as well. Also want to thank our careers department, Lisa, Alex, for leading that aspect of the cohort as well. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, thank you, Jay. And we have one other panelist with us, Brandon. Brandon, if you can say a couple words to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon Ray. Congratulations to all of you on completing to getting to capstone presentation here. I am an alum of Actualize. I was in Peter's evening cohort early 2019, Ruby on the Rocks. If you were in the building, you could probably find our t-shirt somewhere. I am currently a junior full stack developer for a company called BTSIT. I work on a stack that includes Java and Angular, none of which I learned during boot camp. So just believe what they say. When you learn the basics, you can learn anything for a job. I was able to do that, and it's been a great process. And I couldn't have done it without everybody here at Actualize. So I'm looking forward to these presentations and getting ready to see what you have.
Awesome. Yeah, and Brandon, you caught yourself there. You almost said that congratulations for completing the program, but clearly we have not completed the program
right.
Until we finish these capstone presentations. So we're about to see that happen, and that's going to be very exciting. All right, so without further ado, let's take it to our first presenter, which is Anna. So Anna, you can go ahead and take over the screen share and go ahead and unmute yourself and begin your presentation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Anna Wong. I'm a New York-based dev, and I want to just congratulate all my fellow cohorts for this exciting milestone. As I said, I'm New York based, and one of my loves aside from coding is my dogs. And I have 3 dogs, all of whom are loving and adorable and also a bit chunky. You know, we all get busy in life, and, you know, we get a little chunky sometimes. I'm sure some of us have maybe packed on a few pandemic pounds, and our animals are not immune to that. And so if you love your dogs as I do, you want to be invested in their health and their well-being. And me personally, we had been struggling with this as well. And I started, you know, putting together spreadsheets and trying to calculate how to feed them. And I thought, what better way to do this than in an app? And so I present to you my app, which is called Fit Friends. Here you would sign up to create an account. I'm going to create an account with Peter. And Peter is going to add his dog after he logs in. So his account is now created. And Peter is going to sign in. Fantastic. He's now signed in. And now we're going to add one of Peter's dogs. Peter's first dog is an adorable Chow Chow, albeit a chunky one, named Bobby. We're going to upload Bobby's photo so we can see Bobby later on when his profile is made. And we're going to select Bobby's breed. Bobby is a Chow Chow right here. And Bobby currently is weighing in at a hefty 80 pounds. Maybe not so hefty. Chow Chows are pretty thick. Bobby's diet of choice is Origin. He's eating approximately maybe 1750 calories a day based on the amount of cups. And then he is having a daily walk for about 30 minutes. Let's create Bobby's profile. Add friend. And here's Bobby. And so this is Bobby's recommendation based on his breed. So unfortunately, our friend Bobby here is 10 pounds overweight. But it looks like Bobby's food intake is appropriate. He just needs to be walked a bit more. And so it looks like he needs about 30 more minutes of activity per day. And this is all based on Bobby's breed information, which you see here. This is his healthy weight range. Here's some other breed information and group information. Also tells you that, you know, they're good watchdogs. They can be highly energetic and playful. They can also be mellow and lap dogs. And so here we also have included a chart for recommended feeding based on size. There's a pounds breakdown. There's also cups of food breakdown here. And since Bobby needs 30 more minutes of activity, let's find a dog park for Bobby to go walk in. And here we've got some dog parks across Manhattan and some down here in Lower Jersey. Maybe Bobby wants to take a tour of Battery City. So it looks like there's a great dog park here at 385 South End Ave. Nice water view. Bobby would love that. And so we also want to take care of Bobby's friend Booty, who's the other dog that Peter has. Let's create a profile for Booty. I'm going to upload Booty's photo here. Booty is a different type of dog. Booty is a Papillon, smaller dog. 14 pounds, I believe Booty is. She's eating a slightly different diet of Honest Kitchen. Smaller dog, less calories, 350, but Booty is also doing a 30-minute walk per day. We're going to create Booty's profile here, add friend, and here's Booty. So Booty, thankfully, is only 2 pounds overweight. But Booty, because she's a smaller dog, she's meeting the activity requirements. What's different about Booty is she just needs to eat less. So maybe handful less treats. So it's recommending 50 fewer daily calories. And here we also have the same breed information for Papillon. And then you can also click here back to our friends to see a host of our other friends in the neighborhood. And if you click on one of these, it'll also show you their profile. Sarah here, she's a little sad. I think she's a bit chunkier than we need. Let's look at her recommendation. Yep, she's 20 pounds overweight and she needs about 15 more minutes of activity per day. But here we are to our fit friends. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Anna. You can keep your screen shared for right now, and we'll pass it over to our first panelist, Jay Wengrow.
Hey, Anna, this is a fantastic app. It looks great. I have so many questions. One is, where is all this data coming from? Like all the dog breeds and their weight recommendations. Where are you pulling that all from?
Yeah, so originally when I built the MVP, it was really just based on some hard-coded data tables that I built from just researching. And I had sort of had that information from my own like personal dog research. But then I stumbled across this awesome API called the Dog API that I think is aggregating from a lot of like the AKC public information. And so I was able to use that to really build out that input menu. And then the limitation with that API was that it included dog breed groups, but it didn't really have like the exercise activity portion. So I did my own research there, built a supplemental table on the back end that connected to that public API information. And I was able to make those two work together to get the activity information. And then did all the calculations on the front end because it's an API. So it's all front end.
So you're doing, yeah, that was going to be my next question. So like the algorithm that recommends how much more activity or how many calories it should eat less each day, those are these calculations that you're doing on the front end?
Correct, yes.
Was that difficult?
I think the hardest part was really realizing that, you know, when you're waiting for the API to load, so there was like some asynchronous issues. But once we figured out how to, you know, nest those requests appropriately, it all worked fine. You know, I would say that I see now that, you know, when I'm loading it, it's a little slower than I'd like. So I would love in my next iteration to get all that front end information into my back end before it spits back out.
Got it. Really cool. And the map looks great with the dog prints. Was it difficult or easy to implement the mapping feature?
I used a Mapbox API, which was a really seamless tutorial. They have this great one for store locations, which I just augmented for dog parks. I'd love to take another stab at that as well to make it like really searchable and interactive. But yeah, but that was pretty, it was a good one. I like that one.
Got it. Well, this is a fantastic app, Anna. Really well done.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Yeah, before we get to the next presenter, which is going to be Artem, I'd just like to say I don't like you putting my dogs on blast like that. I mean, this is like a live stream, and now everybody's sort of judging me about how I'm raising my dogs. So it's not cool, but I understand, you know, I understand it's for the sake of, you know, learning. So
I can state for the record that you don't have any.
I appreciate
no dog abuse going on.
I don't need some nasty emails after this presentation. All righty. Next up, we have the next presenter will be Artem, and then the next follow-up panelist will be Brandon. So Artem, if you can go ahead and take over the screen share and unmute yourself when you are ready to present.
All right, howdy y'all. My name's Artem. I live in Oregon. I'm a developer, and I sometimes play video games. I honestly didn't for a while. Grew up playing them, went to school, wasn't as able to, I guess, in time. But my younger brother plays a lot, and I bought a PC to connect with him. Great idea, because he introduced me to this awful game called Escape from Tarkov. So this game is a scavenger survival game. I don't know if you know about the Hunger Games, but similar concept. You get loaded into a map, you have to scavenge it. Other people see you, they will kill you on sight. And here's the catch, there's no information. It's very hardcore. You don't know what's valuable. You don't know where it is. You need to extract once you're done scavenging. You don't know where that is either. There is no mini map. There is no tool that counts how many bullets you fired. You have to check manually. You have to assemble your own guns. Every sound matters. You step on a piece of metal inside of a building, everybody knows where you are. Where you spawn matters. Everything matters. And none of this information is available. The only way you learn is through brute force, in terms of like playing and dying constantly and devoting a lot of time, or talking to people who are willing to teach you. This is hard because teaching people is hard. You know, this tool is to teach people. What you see in the background, I apologize if it's choppy for you guys, given that it's a stream of a stream. But this is a panning shot of the maps that are covered in this tool. One thing that's cool is that this panning shot was created using a camera that we had to hack into the game to make. Like, this wasn't something that was available to us. Like, we couldn't just, type into Google camera tool for Escape from Tarkov. And so that is huge in building this map tool, which is one of the 4 tools that we're going to be offering to the player base. So I'm a new player. Here I am clicking on the map tool. I keep dying in customs, which is one of the maps, and I don't know why. Well, here I can start to learn why or how or what. As you can see here, this is an ultra high resolution image of the map that we stitched together from in-game images using that camera tool. Here we have a variety of icons that are clickable and will tell you things about what you're clicking on. So here, for example, let's imagine that I load in, right? I load in here. Okay, so this is a lot of text telling me about what to do. What this text tells me is that there's a boss right here. There's a railroad right here. This is a choke point that I do not want to go to because there's going to be somebody else spawning in these hills that will be looking for me because they also want to go to this boss. I'm a conservative in terms of risk management player, so I want to maybe go this way. Now I see that there's another player spawn here. Maybe I should actually peek this to make sure that he doesn't shoot me before I run into this warehouse like the text suggests and have some cover, right? This information is very valuable. A new player who doesn't have this information will probably run, I'm guessing, towards the train tracks because they look cool and they would die. And then they wonder, why did I die? Why did I lose all of my items? Because when you die, you lose all your items. Here we have a boss. So one thing that I wasn't able to implement was a legend into this leaflet app that worked correctly. Once that's there, people can click in and out things that they're interested in learning. Another tool that is useful is this key tool. It basically just tells you whether or not it's worth using a certain key. So for example, dorm room 203, that's the key I have. Should I sell it in game or to another player? I should probably sell it in game. It's a good key to have. That's basically what this tool does. I feel like I'm over on time. So I would like to quickly show what is going to be coming in the future update. We really want to have people be able to see things from an in-game perspective. This is kind of like a Google Maps Street View idea, but being able to point things out in-game rather than on an interactive map, because sometimes it's easier for people to find where a stack of boxes is or where a crate might be, things of that nature. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them.
All right, awesome job, Artem. We'll go take it to our next panelist, which is Brandon.
Artem, this looks really great. Congratulations on this. My son, who is 11, and my girlfriend are avid Fortnite players, which is obviously a much less intense version of what this sounds like. One thing, I think the map tool is really cool. What kind of method are you using to get all those little points in there? Like, did you use an API, or is it hard coded, or?
So one thing that I totally underestimated with this, completely underestimated, was how hard it is to make a map. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll just load in an image and like make a map. And then I find out when you make a map, and so these, this library is built to be used with actual real maps. And so everything is modeled around actual longitude and latitude. And so I had to create a custom map. I had to create a custom coordinate system and then map out in-game items to that coordinate system, which was a lot more work than I anticipated. And then whenever I realized I could just load in fake data, once I figured out how to do all of it, I was like, okay, I'm just going to load in like a good like use case, because obviously gathering the data in game takes a while, and I had to go and write scripts to, and like really pull on my core understanding of JavaScript and like Ruby initially, but like more so JavaScript because I was working in Vue. Like what I should write to, populate icons by type, to create different filters that should work with the legend, things like that. And then also just having the backend display the right information in the right places. I also enjoyed learning about that. I think I might enjoy the backend a little bit more because front end, at least in this case, is a lot of asset creation, which I am not good at. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned this tool that you're using, this camera tool that you put inside the game to get these really cool streaming pictures for your sort of cover here. And then I assume would you use that kind of tool for that street view feature that you want to implement as well?
That's correct. And full disclosure,
what was the process of that? What I guess technology were you using for that that camera?
So the technology we were using were Russian developers that we found, like in very esoteric, like Discord chats of like, who knows how to do this? I do, like here's how many rubles. And what I wish I knew like something about game dev. I don't know anything about game dev, but it was kind of cool seeing how technical it was. But once we finally like broke this tool, like essentially like broke an offline version of the game enough to where it worked as a camera tool, I was like, wow, that is I don't know, like it obviously it enables people to create stuff like this. And it's interesting to see that you can hack this out rather than waiting for there to be an official update like you would with like Halo or like, any kind of like game that has content creators or like, Counter-Strike or whatnot. Yep.
That's cool. So you really went to some deep places to get the stuff for your app here. Yeah. That's really great. I think this looks really cool. And if I were a player of this, I would definitely want some kind of resource like this. So that's really great. Congratulations.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Awesome job, Artem. Yeah, I've never played this game and I'm going to wait. I'm not going to get started because according to Artem, I'm just going to die a million times. So I'm going to wait till I have a little bit of that insider information. You know what I mean? See what happens after you release a version of that tool. All righty, let's go ahead and go to our next presenter, which is Ben. So Ben, if you can go ahead and share your screen and unmute yourself when you are ready to start presenting.
Am I sharing? Okay. Hi, my name is Ben. I'm a developer in Chicago, and I'm going to tell you guys 2 user stories to solve a problem. So during quarantine and the pandemic, people got really into houseplants. Obviously, people like Peter, they don't like dogs, So Peter thought maybe I shouldn't get into plants, but he doesn't know anything about plants. So he heard about this great app called Plant Track, where he can keep track of his plants and hopefully they don't die. So let's log in. He created an account at test.com. His password is password. Oh, Peter should probably change that password. So it's going to take him to his what plants he's tracking over here. You can see he has a lot of nice photos. Let's go to see how his plants are doing. Oh man, Peter's not really watering his plants. He probably should water his plants. I mean, this one's watered, but it's gonna be dry. This one definitely needs water. Let's click on that. Let's water this plant. Let's go. You could see he last watered it on the 15th of February. So it's been 37 days. Man, it's a long time without watering this plant. So let's water it. Let's do yesterday just to see if this works. Oh, pops up right there. That's pretty cool. So now that he did that, let's go back to his dashboard. Oh man, he really, yeah, he kind of went in over his head on this one. Let's see. He obviously needs help, so let's get him some help. Takes him to a Reddit plant clinic, and he can see different posts of different people. Let's go back to here. Okay, let's get some more info on these plants. Let's see, he can get his scientific name, his plant family, what humidity it likes, all this stuff. He can upload a photo, but he's not gonna do that right now. Let's say he wants to track a new plant, like he just bought a plant and wants to see if it's in the database. Let's go. Go to this one. Yeah. Oh, this one's cool. Yeah, he thinks he's gonna track this one. This plant, what if he acquired on, say, this day, track. Up, and it shows up right there. And you could see different users on here that also have the same plant. So maybe Peter should talk to one of these guys. You know, in fact, let's check out one of these guys. Let's check out this guy right here. I think his name's Kevin. Yeah, he looks like he knows what he's doing. So let's log Peter out. Let's go log in as Kevin. Kevin, test.com, password. Cool. Oh, so Kevin has fewer plants than Peter, greater variety, but it looks like Kevin's pretty good, man. Like, Kevin's really good. Like, I think Peter should follow the Kevin model of fewer things and in a concise way. But Kevin wants to add a plant. He's going to go to our database. You know, all these plants look boring, so he wants to add a new plant that we don't have. So let's add a plant. Let's go. Oh, he doesn't know the scientific name. Oh, look, he can search the USDA. That's pretty cool. And oh, taking some time. Oh, look at that. So he's picking a philodendron. It's got the plant family. Can add cool light requirements. Can add all this cool stuff. This is pretty cool. I'm just gonna create it. And then it's gonna go show up there. So yeah, I'd say that's about it. Let me see. Yeah, that's it. All right, I'm done.
All righty, Ben. Strong finish right there. All right, let's go ahead and pass it off to our next panelist, which is Jay.
Hey, Ben, this is really cool. I love that. Was the USDA API, was that easy to work with or challenging?
So apparently they didn't have an API until 2019 September, so a couple months ago, and it's not very good. There was this guy on GitHub that had his own API for a couple years, but it cost money to run that server, so he took it down.
Mm-hmm.
obviously for my uses on houseplants, to get an API that would have the information I wanted, it would cost a lot more money than I was willing to spend. Like there's one in I think it's the Netherlands. It's Plant Track ID, and it's you have to. It's like a lot. It's like 0.05 euros per request. So I didn't want to do that. So I did the USDA.
Got it. So, but working with it was how easy or challenging was that?
It was fun because I really like SQL and I really like database structures. I hear they're important and their algorithms. I hear that's a important thing in this field.
Sure.
And yeah, I liked working with it and how they structured it. Really interesting. Like you can even go to different trees and see if it's invasive or not. But that's not really a problem here in the States. So.
Got it. I'm curious to know about how you calculate the percentage of how dry a plant is. How does that work?
Oh, that was cool. So that is, if you go into this plant, it will say like how many days left. So they're like I have a model method that based on the watering frequency, is it low, medium, or high? Like low watering frequency means you don't have to water it that often. So it will be every 30 days. Medium will be every 20 days. And high will be every 7 days, like once a week. And so it will search the plant based on the water frequency, it will calculate when your next watering is. And from that, I made another model method that will calculate the total, like the next watering and the days that pass between. And that's how dry it is.
Got it. Well, that sounds like a nice, juicy algorithm right there.
Yeah, it was fun. Peter didn't like it. No, I'm kidding. He liked it.
Awesome. What would you do next? What would you add to this app if you had more time?
A lot. So I wanted to do like a Google Calendar thing, and I thought that was going to be easy. But it turns out you need to do an OAuth. And then I tried doing the OAuth, but it was only going to be for me. And so like, what's the point is if everyone's scheduling waterings and it's just for me. So actually implementing the OAuth was more difficult. So I definitely would do that. If you can see my screen, I built all these routes. I have, I actually have data for locations of plants because I wanted to track a plant like throughout your house, and like a plant can be in different locations. Yeah.
Got it. Really cool. Really cool. You did an awesome job, Ben. Congratulations.
Sorry.
All righty. Thank you so much, Ben. You can keep your screen shared for right now. Yeah, there's a lot of complex stuff going on in the background there. I would say this is a really fantastic app. The only thing that I would criticize is perhaps, putting me on blast. And so now people recognize me as a person who doesn't take care of their pets, doesn't take care of their plants. I just can't wait to see, the other ways that I'm going to be publicly shamed.
Maybe you should try a cactus.
Yeah, I need low maintenance dogs, low maintenance plants, you know what I mean? Something where my incompetence is not going to affect their livelihood, I guess is the lesson to be learned here. All righty, let's go ahead and take this to our next presenter, which is Emmanuel. So Emmanuel, you can go ahead and start sharing your screen and go ahead and unmute yourself when you are ready.
Hello, my name is Emmanuel, and my capstone project is called Good Games. My entire life, basically, I've been playing video games, and one thing that's been constant the entire time has been after you finish a really good game, you always look for another game that's just as good, but based on like just commercials or ads or just your friends' reviews, you'll never find anything that's as good as the game you currently played or as a game that you really love. And this hopefully will help fix that. This is just a list of games, all the games that are currently available. You can sort them by different genres, and you can click on you can hover over the games and you can see the name of the game, the current price, and a rating. You can click on the games for more info, and you can scroll through them and see different pictures of in-game stuff. For version 2, I would probably have either a live stream of the current game actually playing, so you could see what it looks like while somebody else plays it, or a video of like gameplay of it. It has just regular game information, and one of the most important parts is recommended games. It recommends games based on your reviews and what kind of games you like to play, and what other people who also like to play those games like to play. You can scroll down and see reviews. You can leave reviews and see reviews as users, and you can click on users' profiles and see the number of reviews they have, what the average rating they give to games is, and the reviews they've done on specific games. So say you like a game and you agree with a point that somebody has, you can click on their profile and see what other games they might also like in common with you. You can log in and see your own profile too. And just keep track of what games you like and which games you have reviewed. That's pretty much everything that I have so far. I didn't really have that much time. I missed a few days due to work issues. But in a second version or in a future version of this, I would like to implement a lot more things. Live streaming, being able to search by different tags, maybe even a community just to talk about certain games more other than just reviews, something like that.
Awesome. Fantastic job, Emmanuel. So we'll go ahead and take this to our next presenter, our next panelist, which is Brandon.
Emmanuel, this is great. This is a really cool idea. One thing I'm wondering, this is sort of recommending other games based on stuff that I play, stuff that I review. What kind of algorithm, what sort of setup are you using to determine what other games might be good for me?
It's basically just if you review games higher and based on the categories they review, and that's basically what would decide, and it would compare with other people's reviews.
Oh, cool. So it's also taking other user input into account.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's great. What was there anything that you worked on in this that maybe was more of a challenge than other parts? Like what did you spend the most time on?
One of the biggest challenges was something that's kind of more simple now, which is just sorting by these and having it do this sort. I just kept breaking. Just the actual sorting by genres and having it like do this was probably one of the more difficult parts of this.
Well, it looks really good. And do you're using some of these fun animations on your filter and stuff, and your mouse overs. It's really cool. So I think this is a great idea, and it looks nice. And love to see you be able to implement a little bit more of your vision into this. This is cool.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Manuel. Yeah, it's a very cool app. I also appreciate the fact that I was not a user in this app, so you would not be shaming my choice of video games along with everything else. That
you definitely are. It's just I didn't show those off yet.
Well, see that I appreciate more than anything. Like it is, I am in there. I do have embarrassing choice in video games, but you don't want to publicly put that out there. I deeply appreciate that, Emmanuel. No, it's a fantastic app. Very beautiful looking. Great job all around. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this to the next presenter, which is Jacob. So Jacob, if you want to take over the screen share and unmute yourself when you are ready.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jacob, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my application Diamond Hands today. A little bit of background about myself. I spent a good portion of my 20s bouncing around from, restaurant to restaurant, working as a server or working in, these dead end jobs. And a couple of years ago, I decided to take some agency over my life and go back to school and decided to become a developer. And around the same time, I started getting into the stock market as a means to, provide financial independence for myself. And so this is kind of the intersection point between my interest in coding and my interest in the stock market. And there was a controversy over a company called GameStop and another company that is a trading platform called Robinhood over basically the loss of ability to trade the stock freely on the market. And this kind of made me wonder, well, I wonder what it takes to create a dashboard for a user to log into and to be able to view stocks that they're able to put into their own watch list and kind of have all the information for those stocks that they want to keep track of in one place. So start with the login. And once the user's logged in, you get this dashboard, which kind of, it shows a lot of data, but not so much that it's overwhelming. Like I've looked at other stock trading apps and you're overwhelmed with the amount of charts and just, it's a wall of text and charts, and it's a little bit unreadable for anyone who is maybe just getting into the market or even for someone who's been doing it for a while. So I wanted to have something where you could have this watch list and you're able to keep track of the stocks that you want. So click on Amazon and you've got a chart here, which is a form of a line chart, and then a candlestick chart so that you can check the prices either way that you want to. And then I tried to make everything dynamic. Like that was one of the main focuses for this app was where everything would render dynamically. So if you want to check a shorter time period, you got 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, going all the way up until 4 hours. And this allows you to kind of get a read on, potential things that may be happening, movements that could be an indicator for buy or sell. And then down below, I've just got some basic information about the company, what exchange it's on, what sector it's part of, the last price in case you're looking at something after hours, daily volume, the date that it IPO'd, country of origin, and then just a brief description of what the company does. So in addition, and as well as a news feed. So if you click the stories in the news feed, it takes you to a separate page where you can read up about whatever the current news for that particular stock may be. And as well as, trying to, in the nature of trying to make everything dynamic, I added this ticker up at the top, which will pause on hover. And then if you see a stock that you are interested in, but you potentially don't have it in your watch list, you can just click it and it'll dynamically load all of the information about that stock. And so say that you look at Etsy, you think that, it's gone down a lot today. Maybe that means it'll go up tomorrow. So I'll keep an eye on it. You can just click the favorited button and it'll add it to this watch list. And then the last feature is a search bar, which, say you want to look for American Airlines, but you don't know the name of the ticker. You figure, oh, well, the ticker would make most sense if it's AA. You search it, and then you get a list of all the companies that, have AA in their title. You find American Airlines, and there you go. And you can add it to the favorites. So yeah, that's my application.
Awesome. Great job, Jacob. Let's go ahead and take it to our next panelist, which is Jay.
Jacob, this is so cool. Firstly, I love the hacker look of this app. I gotta imagine there's multiple data sources. You're pulling the stock prices, you're pulling the news. Like, where is all of this data coming from?
So it's a combination of, so I have my own database created that's able to track all the stocks, but it was a little bit tricky because I didn't want to have to put every single possible stock from every different index all into the database at once.
Right.
So the way that this does this is you can search by anything, and then on click, if you favorite it, then it'll do two things. It'll add it to a user stock table, but it'll also push it to a stock table, so that as different users are going through it, they're able to, it helps improve the database by each user clicking and favoriting, because it creates a different entry for every stock that's added. And then as far as the data goes, pretty much everything was able to come from a single API. It's a newer one called Financial Modeling Prep, and they had endpoints that were available for pretty much everything that I needed. So I was able
awesome.
to just do different dynamic calls from there.
Yeah. The graphs look really cool. What charting libraries are you using for that?
So this is called Apex charts. And it took me a while to find one, because a lot of them just didn't have good documentation for Vue, which is the program that we're running the front end through. And I think it took almost a week and a half to find one that I could actually read the documentation and figure out something that would be usable. And even then it was still tricky to try and, like, the line chart wasn't too hard, but getting this in this just requires 1 point of data for each position on the chart, whereas this requires 4. So it took a while to get it all loaded in there. But I'm really happy with the way that it turned out, and that everything renders on click. I think it's a cool feature.
That's so great. It looks great. The rendering on click, was that extra work involved to make sure that happened?
So basically the buttons are synced through, everything runs through a ticker data piece, and the ticker data piece can be dynamically created from several different points. Like from here, it'll pass in that as the ticker, and then that ticker gets sent to 3 or 4 different other functions as a parameter. And then as it goes through, like it'll first just call the plain data function, and then that function will call all of the rest of the functions in order to get everything rendered. And it took a little bit, so where everything would render at once, and you weren't getting, like, the news would show up and then the stocks would show up 5 seconds later. So it took a little bit of work on that.
Got it. And then lastly, the ticker, is that a JavaScript library, or how did you pull that off?
This is called marquee text, and it was actually really simple to implement.
Really?
I did it a few days ago, and
cool.
I just passed in API parameters and just gave it a for loop, and pretty much all of it rendered automatically, aside from the ability to be able to stop, and then this little feature where it, the animation for that, which is just a little bit of CSS.
Got it. Really, really great app, Jacob. This is really impressive. Nice job.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, and I, forgot to mention, what's it called? Diamond Hands and Emmanuel's apps called Good Games. And so these are all like little, like terminologies that I don't know about. So I'm teaching all the students, coding stuff, and they're teaching me about all the new internet slang that I am totally unaware of. You know what I mean? So it's a reciprocal process here. All right, great job, Jacob. Really sharp looking app. I could say, as your instructor, it didn't look so sharp about a week ago. So it's amazing what you can get done, you know what I mean, in those last couple of days to really, really tighten all the edges. So fantastic job. All righty. So the next presenter is going to be Gina. So Gina, when you're ready, you can go ahead and take over the screen share and unmute when you're ready to start presenting.
All right, can you see my screen? Okay, so hi, I'm Gina Wong, and I am in Arlington Heights, Illinois. So that is about kind of like a 50-minute drive to Chicago for those who are not in Illinois. My app, Your Adventure Waits, it's kind of like, it's been a year now since we've been in quarantine and with the coronavirus. So happy birthday, Rona. But while we were kind of stuck in quarantine, shut down, being kind of held in a way, some people like that, which is good, but then some people kind of get that itch, right, that they need to get out. But how can you do that? Maybe with yourself or with, your few loved ones in a safe way or in a socially distanced way. So there's this app that I created called Your Adventure Awaits, which may or may not be based on a true product, but that's for another day. And so this is the shopping page of Your Adventure Awaits if you would like to buy and start going on adventures. And so it comes in different journeys. So looking at my shopping page here, I've got the family journey, the friends journey, a solo journey, or couples journey. And luckily they're all priced the same, so that's not going to affect my judgment in any way on which product I'm going to buy. But let's just say I'll go with the couples journey. So I'll go ahead and purchase that. And then you can see this is in my cart. And then so I can either buy or delete it from my cart. So I actually have already bought the journey before. So I'll go ahead and log in. Email and password. Whoops. My password is not password or anything. All right. Okay, so secretly my password is password, but I'm not sure why I'm not able to log in. Just one moment, maybe it's my email. There we go. Okay, here we go. 4th time's the charm. So I'm here to my introduction page where I can begin my journey. So it says, Adventure Awaits, your journey. Navigate to your My Adventures tab to begin. Well, before I proceed to that, we can look at the steps on how to even use the journey in the first place. So step 1, you can choose your adventure, which is find the title that sounds fun and scratch it off. And in step 2, you can complete your adventure where once it's scratched off, there are no takebacks. So once you commit to that adventure, whether it's with yourself, your loved one, your family, or friends, you have to go through with that adventure. And then step 3, you can capture adventure where you don't forget to take a picture or don't forget to take the picture and journal your experience. So when it's finished, you'll have a keepsake full of your memories. So I'll go on ahead and go to my adventures page. And like I said before, I've already signed up for this. So you can see this is my kind of like my scrapbook of adventures. And you can see here's the title of the adventure with a post. So these are adventures that I've completed as part of my couples journey. And so if I flip the page, you can see some here. And so with this one, I have not completed this yet. That's why there's no image or post. Some more. And then me and my partner are feeling inspiration today. So we're gonna go ahead and take on an adventure. So we'll go ahead and try this one, The Helpless Baker. And so based on these parameters, the cost would be around $5 to $15. It can happen at any time of day. The duration is 2 to 3 hours. And then here's some helpful hints. So what does this exactly mean, these helpful hints? So if I click on my legend up here, I get a list of what each one means. So there's this kind of like pencil and ruler, as well as the house with the check mark. So with the pencil and ruler, it means it will require supplies. So unless we have a large stock of specific foods or random craft supplies, then the challenges with this icon may require us to get some essential items from the store. And then the home with the check icon, it will mean that we can do this adventure completed in or around the house. So me and my partner have talked about it, and based on these parameters, we're going to go ahead and commit. So now we can review what the adventure really is. So we're scratching it off, and this is it. So it says make a homemade pie together. Easier said than done. So once you have mixed all the ingredients, or one of you has to mix all the ingredients blindfolded, while the other person can only give instructions by leading with their hands. So the latter, not ladder, but the latter can only use 3 directive sentences the entire time. And the person who has the least cooking experience should be the blindfolded mixer. So, okay, some time has passed and we've actually gone through with making that pie. It tasted wonderful, by the way. And we'll go ahead and create and add our memory down here. So just a quick post. And then choose a file. My file is uploaded, and then I can add to my memory. So this might take a few seconds. And then it takes me back to my scrapbook. And if I flip through all the pages again, there it is with my post. So one more down the hatch. And that is the adventure awaits.
All righty. Awesome job, Gina. Let's go ahead and take it to our next panelist, which is Brandon.
Gina, this is great. It's really cool that there's not just a way to document, but also these sort of surprise suggestions, which is like this time of boredom and routine. It's really cool. One thing I was wondering, did you use some sort of icon library for your legend, for your helpful hints?
Not kind of. So these are images that I just uploaded from their links, but they all did come from the same source. I think it was called like the Northern Project or something like that, where they were offering icons for free without having to pay. Because some other sites I was looking at, you would have to pay $2 for a little icon and such, but this was one that happened to have all these kind of like slick, kind of like black basic icons.
Very cool. What was your favorite part of putting this together? What was the most satisfying?
I would have to say the scratch pad that you saw as you like drilled in to show, and then you get to review. So that's something that when you scratch it off, then you can like see the description of it, and that's kind of fun. How
did you implement? I was actually wondering about that. How did you implement that scratch off feature?
It was actually a component.
Oh, cool.
UJS component with and then you just add it like all to like one view page with like a template and then the script to it, and then some like CSS for styling.
That's
and
great.
then and yeah, so this is something you can't really see unless I drill in again, but if you drill into one that's already been done, it kind of is covered up again, but I'm hoping to like put in like in version 2 where it's already scratched off, or like it remembers the way you scratch it off as part of like the memory. And then and probably the second best thing would probably be this storybook version to display everything, which kind of came with some strong inspiration near the end of this process. But I'm glad it can get we could get this working, so it was a nice way to present that part.
Yeah, did you find that you liked working on the back end more, or are you more of a front end person, or everything?
I think I like the back end more in a way too, maybe because we have more practice with it, or maybe I personally had more practice with it, and the errors kind of pop up more obviously than the front end, I guess, in my opinion, because it's kind of like the wild west where a lot of things happen, and then like at least while developing this app, sometimes the errors didn't show, right? And then it's like, okay, where is it coming from? And so the back end was really fun, especially developing the database for the models.
Well, this is really cool. I love the idea of kind of picking a surprise adventure and committing to it and being able to document it and share. So that's really cool. Good job. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you, Brandon.
All right. Awesome job, Gina. I had one random question. There was a picture in the very beginning that had instructions with 3 steps, and there were these 3 sort of hand-drawn pictures. Where did those pictures come from?
It came from a website where this said based on a true product, may or may not me. So yeah, no, it actually came from the website that
Oh,
that did
I was gonna
app
say,
inspired from.
if you hand drew those pictures with a pencil, I'd be like, there's bonus points right there. That was a pretty nice little touch.
Darn, I'm just joking. I actually did draw them. Kind of last
Yeah.
minute. Yeah, uploaded them
Okay.
today in the lunch and cafeteria. You know, kind of scribbled on a napkin. Exactly.
Yeah. I can't tell if you're joking or not, but that was a very, very nice little touch right there. All righty, let's take it to our next presenter, which is Joey. So Joey, you can go ahead and take over the screen share and unmute when you are ready to present.
Okay, everybody can hear me? Right on. All right, so my name is Joey, and for my capstone, I decided I want to make a mobile app. So I decided to pick up a language called Dart on a framework Flutter. And I come from a food and beverage background, and so more so beverage. And so this is drinker without the E. I'm just gonna hot restart it right here because I'm proud of my loading page. It takes a second. Cue the Jeopardy music. So you can. It's kind of laggy probably because of the stream, but I got a wheel that was circling right there, and so that was like something I called on from the framework. So first, I have this bottom navigation bar. Got my homepage and profile. I can click on my profile button right here and sign up, or not sign up, but log in. All right. And then here just has my name, email, but I have saved beverages from beverages that this app has helped me find that I can look at, and I can pull them back up for memory's sake. It is 5 o'clock somewhere, and I have my name of the cocktail or beverage and the description, some ingredients here. All right. So I have the option called spin the wheel for people who have a hard time making up their mind just like me. So we're gonna do that first. See what we get. Jalapeno margarita. Sounds great. So description like a classic margarita, but spicy. A go-to for those who love acidic jalapeno deliciousness. And it's made from tequila, jalapeno, sour mix, triple sec. Right on, sounds perfect. Except this time I think that I'm going to try and find a drink based on, some parameters it's going to give me here. So what kind of drink do I want? That's a good question. I think a nice glass of wine would do for tonight, for this fine occasion. I'm pretty happy to be doing it. And I'd like something dry, And what flavor I would like? Apple sounds great. So click that. And a California Chardonnay. That sounds delicious. It's known for its presence of butter flavor and great tropical and stone fruit flavors, dry, white, buttery deliciousness, and the ingredients are grapes, because it's wine. I have the save beverage option right there. We're going to do another one. And we're just going to pull up this cocktail. I happen to know what it takes to pull it up, but liquor. And I'm feeling a little tired. I want something sweet. And you'll notice here that it asked me for another taste, and that's because I'm doing a liquor drink. But where for the wine, you see that it asked me just whether I wanted sweet, semi-sweet, or dry. Something a little bitter, and some cherry, and an old fashioned. That's right. That's why it was number 1 on my saved beverages, because these will do the job. I can save the beverage there. Too late, already did, because I love it. All right. And that's pretty much my app right here. Yeah. Thank you.
All righty. Awesome job, Joey. Let's go ahead and take it to our next panelist, which is Jay.
Congrats, Joey. It's very brave of you to go ahead and do your capstone with a totally new language and framework. I'd love to hear how you went about learning Dart and Flutter.
Okay, so I started obviously with my back end, knocked that out, but with Dart, it was my first goal was to like just learn kind of like the logic of the language. So I kind of looked at some tutorials and then also kind of went through like dev stuff, and one of the things that first popped out to me is in like one of the videos, like somebody said it's pretty similar to JavaScript. And then they in that video started talking about the differences between JavaScript and Dart. And that video probably helped the most because it became really clear, all right, now I have a base to go from as far as the language that I do know.
Right.
And then, but it still had its challenges. Honestly, my app somehow grew an extra forehead overnight right here, but that's okay.
And Flutter, did you go through tutorials for that as well?
That, yes, I did, but I used a lot less of like video tutorial as I did actually just looking up like dev like on the Flutter website, and
documentation.
The documentation, and that was honestly what I preferred in the end for that because it helped me break down how the framework was actually working instead of just watching videos of people being like, and if you put this here, it does this. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to know how and why. So it became really extremely helpful. If I could go back, honestly, I'd probably write it all completely different, into like one file, instead of splitting up my, pages here and like routing. It seems like the framework was built more so to have it all kind of like on one page and call upon the widgets of of each other. So that was interesting.
So it sounds like the Flutter documentation was well written. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say so.
At least enough that you're able to. The fact that you prefer that over, let's say, videos means they must have done something right there.
Yes, yeah. There were some parts where it was like, okay, this lingo is probably out of my league, but
got it. So you alluded to your backend. So that's a Rails API that you built?
It is. Everything is from that API. Yeah. Database and all. Yeah.
Got it. And the data, I assume you set up like the categories and the recommendations based on your experience. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that was fun part actually. So I made a class called Prescription, which I found entertaining, and I filled that prescription with IDs, just like joiner table, style, and then I narrow it down over here in my this prescription file right here, the route. It has all the logic to find all those IDs and connect them. Because every time I click on a new one of these tiles, it will save an ID into my data because I loaded all the data from the very beginning. And so it changes the ID and then uses those IDs to match it to the prescription in the database.
Got it. This is really great, Joey. Really well done. It's really cool to see that you're able to pull off a mobile app. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it was very fun. Thank you.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, all right, Joey, awesome job. I would have to say, I don't think Jay is much of a drinker, so maybe we had those panelists backwards and Brandon would have been able to appreciate a little bit more some of those flavors that you were putting out there, Joey. I'm not a drinker either, so, but after seeing some of those pictures, I might have to start. Might do. All righty, let's take it to our next presenter, which is Owen. So Owen, when you are ready, go ahead and take over the screen share and unmute yourself when you're ready to begin.
Okay, are you guys able to see my screen? Okay, cool. So, hi everyone, my name is Owen. I am a Chicago native and I've never been anywhere else. I am a huge sneakerhead. I grew up loving sneakers. My first sneaker that I fell in love with is this one here. This is the Air Jordan 11 playoffs. Everyone calls them Reds because it's black and red, but the original name was Playoffs, and Michael Jordan wore them in 1996. I begged my mom for them, and she didn't let me have them. So now that I'm much older, I can afford them and I can buy them myself. So it is not called Flown. I know it says Flown here. I tried changing it, but it was so ugly, so I ended up keeping Flown. But if you click here, you can see kind of the other image. But my app idea, it's sort of like a Craigslist meets sneakers. Okay, so it's geared towards people who like sneakers, are into sneakers, into collecting, trading, buying, selling, but want a place to kind of meet up in their local community and trade and buy and sell, as opposed to going to the big e-commerce places like StockX and Goat, making a purchase. And sometimes you have to wait up to 3 months for the shoe to come to you. And so, you know, some people don't want to wait that long and they would rather just link up in their local area to make the sale happen. And so here you'll see Shop All. When you click here, you can see all the listings available. And it's a random assortment of different sneakers that are on the site at the moment. But let's go ahead and make an account. So you can go here, or you can also go here. Let's go ahead and sign up. So let's just make a person. His name is going to be Peter Anita Jang. Email will be peter at test.com. Password is password. And he is in Chicago. Boom. Okay, let's go ahead and log in. Boom. Okay, cool. So now let's go to the shop and let's just see what's available. Do I really have $8,000 for these Nike Air Yeezy 2 Solar Reds? No, I don't. I work at a boot camp. Let's see. You know, I could probably afford this. Let's click on this. So these are Adidas NMD Human Races made by Pharrell. And as you can see, you can kind of click through this, but the premise, the other part of the app idea is, how do you know the shoe is authentic? How do you know when you're looking at this shoe, yes, this is the original shoe made by Adidas. It's not a fake shoe that is made somewhere else. And so a big part of the sneaker community is we ask for receipts. You know, where did you make this purchase? And so we can see here there's a receipt for StockX. So this person made the purchase there. And I could see it's sold by a guy named Peter Francis Geraci. All right, cool. And how I get in contact with him is I can grab his email here, keeping it really OG Craigslist, and just kind of shooting him an email. But before I do that, why don't I just check out his user profile? I don't know, 1.8 out of 5. And have you filed for chapter 11 or 13? Strange. Okay, cool. Well, let's just say I do want to sell a shoe as opposed to buying. Let's go ahead and click on sell. All right, so we have to fill out this information. And what else do we have to fill out? So we have to fill out a name for the item, my user ID, a description, a price, a quantity, and upload an image. And when we hit submit, it'll take us back to this thing here. And so, you know, I also have this really cool feature. Hang on, it always does this. It's called a sneaker map. And so, you know, it's a map that I really like to talk about just because I have all these cool stores, my top 5 stores in Chicago. St. Alfred's is amazing. Please check them out. So anyways, you also have this little cool search bar where you can do a start address. So you know what? I'm not afraid. I'm putting my actual address here. Boom. Okay, cool. And you know, I'm trying to go, let's go here. Oh, No Trade. Okay, that's a really cool sneaker store. It's gonna take me 27 minutes and it gives me the directions. I could drive it, I could walk it, I could cycle. I don't do much walking, as you can tell, so I'm just gonna drive it. Boom, okay, 30 minutes, cool. And yeah, that's pretty much my app. You have an about page here. And the search bar also works, which I'm really proud of. You can go here and you can also do a little search of, you know, like let's just say Adidas, right? Boom, you know? And so, yeah, you also have this other image and so on and so forth. So that is my app.
Awesome. Great jobs, Owen. Let's take it to our next panelist, which is Brandon.
I knew that Peter Francis Geraci was sketchy. You can tell from that 1.8 review.
Yeah, 1.8,
this is cool. I think this is a really smart idea. I know that I'm not personally a sneakerhead. I have some New Balances that I've been wearing for like 3 years, but this is, I think this shopping page is beautiful. It just looks so cool. All of the shoes really pop, and it's really well arranged, and it has some cool flow to it. Yeah, that hover action is neat. And I think that's a really great idea, having an ability for people to kind of get together and sell shoes in their community, and having that sort of like the receipt thing as well. Your map, what are you using? Are you using like an API or a library for that map?
A Mapbox API, and I forgot to demonstrate this part, but the coolest part of the map, and I think it's a little ridiculous, but it's the coolest part, is if you zoom in, it does this.
Oh yeah.
And it reacts to sound. So the whole time I was like, oh my God, I was just so mesmerized by this. And I was so scared to ask Peter to help me with this, because I could hear him say, Owen, you don't have time. That's going to like 2 days from now. So my favorite part with this little thing here. But yeah, it's all Mapbox. I took like 3 different map boxes, like maps, I should say, and then I combined them all into this. So this is actually 3 in 1. Yeah.
That's
so the
cool.
first one is part of another map. This little bouncy bounce thing is part of another map. And then the little pinpoint things, I just sort of hard coded the data. So if you click on it, it'll say Chicago, or if you click on here, it'll say no trade, which is, these are real stores. These are real addresses. And the cool thing is it gives you the direction from wherever you start from or whatever. Yeah.
That's cool. So being a sneakerhead yourself, if you had more time, what would you like to put into this? What more would you like to
Definitely
have it do?
I want to do a lot more. First, I didn't actually want to do that email thing where you would keep it original Craigslist where you would email the person. I wanted an instant chat, so where you can message the person and say, hey, I'm interested in these shoes. Are they still available? Will you take this price, or so on and so forth? But I looked online, and everything I looked on was really complicated, and I couldn't personally understand it. And so I just said, you know what, for time's sake, I'll just do that email thing. And eventually I do want to learn more about that instant chat and implement that.
That's cool. And is there anything specific that you really learned in the creation of this? Like, is there something that clicked for you while you were building it?
Yeah, so when I started this app, I knew it'd be a simple CRUD app, and I sort of just rushed through it, if I'm being honest. And I learned to be more patient. And why I say that is because after I went into the front end side and I needed a template and everything, I got stuck in HTML purgatory. I mean, it was 30,000 lines of like HTML, and I just was so overwhelmed. I pulled all-nighters just to kind of understand what I'm reading. And so I realized I just need to be more patient and take it slower. And yeah, and just, I think I want to learn more about the front end, because I think the back end, I have a pretty solid understanding of.
That's great. Well, it looks beautiful. I think it's a really cool idea. Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Congrats again, Owen. Yeah, and I'll say probably we got the panelists mixed up, because you might not be able to tell, but Jay is a total sneakerhead. You can't see it in the background right there, but he's just got boxes of shoes over there, most of them unopened. So he might have been able to add a little bit more insight to that conversation. But it is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and take it to our next presenter, which is Sarah. So Sarah, you can go ahead and take over the screen share and unmute when you are ready.
All right, I am Sarah, and I'm from Chicago, and this is my app called Whammy. So for the past 14 years, I've been working in higher education, and part of my roles required me to schedule students. And I was never given any sort of app to do that. So spreadsheets and I became really good friends, but they can be frustrating and hard to navigate through. And so I decided to make an app that would allow me to schedule students for an on-campus job. So I have 2 users for my app. I have sort of a student side and then also a supervisor side. So I'm going to start with the student. So we're going to log in, and my student is Anna. Anna's just started working for me part-time. So Anna is going to go ahead and go into her semesters, and she is going to submit the times that she is available for this summer. So Anna likes to walk dogs in the morning. So she's going to go ahead and sign up for some afternoon shifts. You know, she wants to leave the late nights for drinking. So she's going to go ahead and sign up for these shifts. And although she doesn't really want to work Friday afternoons, she's just going to put it down and, you know, hope that she doesn't get it. So she's going to go ahead and create those shifts, and she's good to go for now. And she's going to kind of wait on the supervisor, which is me, to look over her schedule and assign her those shifts. So I'm going to switch over to the supervisor side, and I'm going to go ahead and go to semesters. And as a supervisor, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to schedule requested shifts in the summer. So I've already started working on this schedule a little bit, but I know Anna just sent me a message telling me she added herself to the schedule. So I'm going to start assigning her some shifts. I like Anna a lot. She's going to work for me. So let's put her down for a bunch of shifts in the afternoon. And we will go ahead and we'll give her this Friday afternoon as well. Crap, I've overscheduled. So who do I want to keep on this shift? I'm going to go ahead and look into Anna's profile and see if I can keep her. So Anna requested 20 hours. That's great. If I can give her 20 hours, I would, but it looks like her work study amount is just $3,500, and I'm going over that by $400. And the federal government does not like giving more money. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and take Anna off of that last shift so that I'm A, not going over on Anna's work study, and B, not overscheduling my shifts. Once I've finished with the schedule of all the students and all the required shifts, I'm going to go ahead and notify all of those students via text message. And you can see that they just got a text message telling them that the current schedule has been posted. They can log into Whammy to click to view the new schedule. So both supervisors and students can go ahead and look at that schedule just by viewing it here. And they can see everybody that has been put on the schedule for the days and the times that they're on the schedule. And, you know, sometimes Anna, she forgets things. So she might want to filter by her name to make sure she chooses the right shifts and puts them down so she doesn't run late to one of her shifts. So that is Whammy.
All right. Awesome job, Sarah. Let's take it to our next panelist, which is Jay.
Sarah, this is so good. It looks amazing. It's certainly functionality wise, I could only imagine how much of an upgrade over spreadsheets that this is. I have to imagine that the data here seems complex, like the database schema. And am I wrong that there's probably a lot of join table action going on here?
Yeah, the data is deep.
Yeah. It seems that way because there's just a lot of different details that are all connecting. So was that difficult to implement? Did you use some sort of like deep planning in order to like really sketch out how it's all going to connect?
Yeah, it was a real challenge. I think for me, it was a larger challenge to sort of loop into that data to pull it all up on the front end. I felt like I had a really good solid back end, and I had really good tables kind of put together as a foundation, but it was definitely pulling that information out that was probably a bigger challenge for me.
Got it. What was it like to work with the Twilio API? Was it easier or more challenging than you expected?
That was actually pretty easy. I didn't feel like it was super challenging. The documentation was a little bit out of date that I was looking at, but for the most part, I had that implemented like within a few minutes.
Got it. Is it possible that you'll be able to like deploy this and actually get people in higher ed to start using this?
I mean, I would love to do that. I think I have a laundry list of things I'd want to add to version 2. Actually put time frames versus just like morning, afternoon, evening, and sort of calculate things based on that. But I don't think there's an app out there that really uses federal work study, which most schools are using to pay students. So I think there's definitely a market.
Got it. Because that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really, really great job, Sarah. This is an awesome app.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I have to tip my hat because it's a very back end heavy application. Just a lot of data. If you think about it, you're looking at a bunch of spreadsheets of data. So the fact that you were able to make such a complex back end and make the front end look really sharp is a great balance. So congrats to you, Sarah, again. All right, let's take it to our last but not least presenter, which is Ross. So Ross, if you can go ahead and take over the screen share and unmute yourself when you are ready. Ross, I think you're still muted.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Ross Whitehead, and this is my project, the Video Game Exchange. I also have a deep passion for video games and just everything about them. I've loved them since I've been a child, and I've been playing them my whole life. This app is designed so users can sign up and exchange video games with one another. I've already logged in as Bob Barker, as you can see. The profile page is what you get taken to immediately after you log in. I'm just going to kind of skip the login process for now. This app was designed without a Bootstrap theme, and I did write plenty of CSS, which was a blessing and a curse. I was able to do a little more customization, but also it was very time consuming trying to figure out all the little ins and outs. So anyways, let me get into the app. This red login bar will not show up unless you're logged in, obviously. And my menu changes based on whether you're logged in or logged out. So as we go down, there's a button to edit the user information page. Which is pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to demo that right now, but the important thing about the user edit page is that it is the only place within the app that you can go to remove a game from your collection. Speaking of your collection, if you scroll down on the profile page, you see this table here of my collection. This is the entirety of all of your video games. Whether or not they're being lent out or borrowed, whether or not they're available to play. Let me go over the color coding of this table first. The blue rows mean the game is available to play. It is in your collection, but it is not being lent out to another user and is not being borrowed by another user. The green rows mean that the game is available to play, but that is solely because of the fact that you are borrowing a video game from another user. Shows the borrowed date plus the ability to return the video game to that user using this button here. The red indicates that the game is not available to play due to this user. In this case, this would be Bob Barker lending it out to, in this case, he's lending out Donkey Kong Country and Super Nintendo to Happy Gilmore. And if you haven't noticed, I do love that movie. Happy Gilmore is all-time great. But anyways, so your question you're probably asking yourself now, how do I add a game to this collection? Well, you go back to this. This brings you to this table where you can add a video game to your collection. This is a list of all video games within the database that are owned by anybody. Anybody can add these games to their collection. It's the entirety of the database of video games. But I would have liked to add, I have a search feature on another table that I would have liked to implement in this table as well, seeing as it's a long table. There's a lot of data here. That is one thing I would have improved upon, but I just didn't get around to it this time. Something to do in the future. So let's see. This is a list of all the video games, and let's say I saw a video game here, but I don't see Sonic. I just picked up. I have an old school copy of Sonic the Hedgehog for Sega Genesis. So I'm going to add this video game to the database, and this is just purely adding it to the database. This is not adding it to anyone's collection yet. So I am going to enter Sonic the Hedgehog. As you can see, I have some drop-down menus here. We're going to go with Sega Genesis. This rating system is the current rating system, and anyone who's familiar with video games will know that this is a fairly recent rating system that is for older video games such as Sonic. You kind of have to make a judgment. You have to make a judgment about what translates from the old rating system to this rating system, which is not perfect, but it is what it is at the moment. So we're going to say Sonic is everyone 10 plus because there is a little bit of animated violence, but nothing too extreme, obviously. Online capabilities, that is no. And it was originally released for Sega Genesis in 1991. We are going to create this game. This takes us to the video game information page. This displays basic information about the game. You have the ability to edit in case, let's say I just misspelled something. I can go back and correct it. Down here, we have the genres. I'll get back to this button in a second. That's just the table we were at. But first, Sonic doesn't have any genres, but obviously it is part of something. So let's say we'll add, I think Sonic has some action to it. Definitely a platformer. We'll add that. Simulation. No, wait a minute. I did not mean to do that. So we are just going to delete it and leave it as is. And now that I've done that, I want to add this game to Bob Barker's collection. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to use the search bar and type in Sonic the Hedgehog. There it is. And I actually, let's use this edit form right now. Okay, there we go. 1991. That's a little better. Now let's go back here. We can search through the available games, the entirety of the database. We're going to add this game to Bob Barker's collection. And now Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega Genesis is available to play, and no one is borrowing it, and he's not lending it out to anybody, as that is why it's showing up in the blue. Okay, so that is good, but the most essential feature of this app is actually borrowing a video game from another user, right? This is just how you put a game in your collection to make it eligible to be borrowed by another user. To borrow a game, you can either go up to the menu to borrow game, or there's conveniently a link outside the menu drop-down that takes you here. This table represents all available borrowable games from all the users on this site. I think I have 5 to 6 users right now. Let's say, and I do want to show off this search feature. So for example, let's say you're looking for Call of Duty. And I wish I would have seeded a little more data, but I didn't get around to seeding too much more. Let's say you only own a PlayStation. So there you go. That's the only Call of Duty on PlayStation, any of the PlayStation systems available. That's just a quick example of the search functionality. You can also do, let's say you're really into shooter games. I happen to have plenty of shooter games available right now. And conveniently enough, Bob Barker is a big GoldenEye fan, as I was as well. So Charlie is another user that signed up for this site. I would have liked to incorporate a few more features on maybe being able to click on that and take you to Charlie's profile, etc., but I was not able to get around to that. We are going to borrow GoldenEye from Charlie. Click borrow, takes you back to the profile page where GoldenEye 007 on Nintendo 64 is now being borrowed by me on today's date. And if I wanted to return the game, I would just click return. And as you would see, if I went back to the borrow table, Charlie's copy is back in the borrow game table. So that's basically my app. I would have liked to add quite a few more features, but I was just unable to get around to it. I said some of them, but there are quite a few more things. I would have loved to have even more pictures, being able to upload like pictures for the games, etc. But one last thing I would like to note is if you guys pay attention to the background very closely, as you can see as I scroll down, the image scrolls down in the background as well. It is called the parallax feature, and I honestly had no idea what it was until someone told me about it. But as you can see, the picture, it's a very subtle effect. I have it at very slow speed, but it is something that took a little extra work, and I am proud that I was able to do it. And that is the video game exchange. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Awesome job, Ross. I'll take it to our panelist, which is Brandon.
Great job on this, Ross. It looks really cool. I love the 8-bit style. It's taking me back to the 80s. Yeah, it's really great. So I actually have a couple of questions related to that. So you mentioned that you decided not to go with a bootstrap format for your CSS. What led you to decide not to implement that way?
Well, I did use Bootstrap, to clarify. I did use some of the basic custom classes that Bootstrap does provide. I chose the custom CSS, I guess, just because I wanted a little more control over the style than picking out something. I know there's plenty of good Bootstrap themes out there that come with everything you need. I kind of wanted to add this personal touch of like old school, kind of like what you said, the font is Ready Player 2 or it's 2 Player Ready 1 or something. I just kind of wanted to add my own personal touch to this project, I guess, more so than, and I did have the time to do so. So I guess it was time permitting. I was going to do it this way.
Do you think that are there things that you learned through kind of taking more customized control of the style?
Yes, absolutely. I learned plenty of CSS tricks that I had no idea about, because over the course, we honestly didn't dive a lot into CSS. And working through some of the problems, I came upon certain how you define the classes, like being able to say if this element's right next to this element, then put like a little padding between them as opposed to making 2 separate classes. Just small little things. I did learn plenty of pretty cool front end tricks, I feel.
That's great. You talked about some of the features that you would like to implement if you had a little more time. Is there anything that either structurally or something else that if you had the chance to go back and do this again differently, is there anything that you would change up?
Yeah, I think maybe some work on the back end. Maybe I would have kind of set up the schema a little bit differently for all the tables. It did take a lot of work just to get this to how it was, but I think I could have maybe done a little better job at just maybe having one more join table for one thing, or maybe having another table for just something else. I don't know. It's just, I think I could have planned the back end a little more cleanly, I guess I'm trying to say.
Sure. Well, it looks really cool. It's a great idea. I like that there's several apps here that are kind of, going through the sort of like the local exchange economy that's, taking shape now. It's a really great idea. And I think it's something cool to work on. And you did a great job with it. Congratulations on this.
Thank you very much.
All right. Great job, Ross. Yeah, the old 8-bit school, Sonic the Hedgehog. You guys are talking about retro gaming and stuff like that, making me feel like an old man. That's what I grew up on. That's not retro gaming to me. That's literally what I grew up on. So dating me a little bit, but I can take it. All righty. So that was the final presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and take over that screen share, and we'll just do a couple of concluding remarks. I do want to say overall, I'm very, very impressed with everybody's apps. And for those of you who are watching, it's sort of important to contextualize this. This is a nights and weekend program. So we have students who, have full-time jobs, who are taking this class from 6 to 9:30 p.m. and, waking up at 4 a.m. for some people who will not be named to go to work. You know what I mean? So it's an incredible time commitment to be able to pull off some of these apps, and these are incredibly well featured, and everybody took so much time and care into building these really complete applications. And I keep telling everybody to really think back on what you've learned over the last 12 weeks of being in this particular class, where when we were first learning JavaScript, halfway through, and people are like, none of this makes sense to me. I don't know how to build a front end. When we were first learning the back end, when we were first learning the terminal, all of this stuff felt overwhelming. And as I'm helping everybody in their final projects towards the end, just watching them flip through all this stuff, I'm like, oh, you need a back end route. And they're just like, okay, well, I don't understand why this is working. So everybody just gets super frustrated because they don't know what they're working on right now, without oftentimes fully appreciating how much they've grown the whole way through it. It's really amazing to see where everybody's at. It's really amazing to see, the products that you've created. But basically, I'm always more impressed with the process of, the dedication and how much you've grown and how much you've learned throughout. And I have a lot of confidence that you'll be able to take that into your professional careers. So yeah, I just want to say, really proud of all the apps that you built. You guys did an amazing job. Jay, I don't know if you want to say a couple of final words before we conclude this live stream.
Sure. It's going to be echoing what Peter said. The apps are really impressive. This has been I think it's unusual where every single capstone blows me away. And that was definitely the case tonight. So kudos to everyone on really pulling this off. The apps were great, and not just the apps were great, but the presentations were great as well. So it's very much appreciated. Everyone does such a great job. So yeah, thank you for that. Real treat.
Yeah. So just want to say thank you again to Jay, the CEO of the company, and Brandon, both of our panelists who helped, sort of guide some of those conversations. A fantastic job. Kevin, who's here, the TA, here every day, helping everybody with their apps, everybody through the pre-work and helping provide that type of mentorship. Lisa and Alex, career support people who, will continue to work with y'all throughout the process. But yeah, like I said, very proud of all of you. Most importantly, all the work that you've done and all that you've grown. And I'm very excited to be a part of seeing your the beginning of your careers and beyond. So it's a very exciting time.